Welcome to the podcast, where we teach you how to create marketing that pops. Get ready for refreshing conversations with industry experts, trendsetters, and creative minds that'll leave you bubbling with inspiration. Get ready to turn up the volume on your business. Let's get popping. Welcome back to Marketing That Pops. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Michelle.
And today we are recording in a different way. We are doing this on Google Meet. So hopefully this goes well. We're excited about it.
Yes, and we're very far away from each other. So
Yes,
that's exciting and fun and weird.
I know. It's nice though because I can look at you like directly. So
Yeah,
like I
see
feel
my
like
face and yeah.
just like sitting next to you and getting a crick in my neck. So
Yeah.
I- I'm excited about that part. We've been talking a lot in the office about brand voice, and we have some things that we're working on right now, all centered around this. So I thought today we should talk about it on the pod while it's fresh on our minds. It's really important, and there's been some crazy brands that have been popping off with their brand voice. I think we should talk about it. Let's start with our pop myth. Michelle, what do you think about when a company tries to copy another successful brand's voice, like another successful?
I don't think it will work just because every brand is unique and you need to understand like what your personality is. That would be fake, right? Because if you're trying to So say Taylor Swift, like, I wanna be a Taylor Swift, so I'm gonna do everything like she does. You're just not Taylor Swift, I'm sorry, you know? And so it's really important to be authentic and just be yourself because you will then start getting audiences that like you and are like you. So it's really about just being real and being yourself and understanding like what that tone of voice really needs to be.
Mhm. Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. I think that you can get inspiration from people, and it can inspire you to maybe want to make a change, but definitely you can't like carbon copy what someone else is doing and try to make it your own. It just really, that inauthenticity just like really shines through, and people can tell.
I know when we started Thrive Pop, I was trying to just please everybody,
Mhm.
all of my different clients, and, oh, they would like this or they would like that, and then all of the copy on our website was very, like, super professional. Is there a person behind that? Because I don't know what they're saying, really, and I just came to this realization of, "You know what? I'm just gonna be me, and if people like the way, like, we talk and write, and I like to be fun, I like to be transparent, so that's just what we're gonna be, and I don't need to be all fancy with all these big words that nobody understands, just let's just be us." I think, like, on our website, it really comes through to what it's like here and what it's like,
Mhm.
what our cultures and I get that feedback a lot. "I just love your website," or it's so I can just tell, like, what the culture's like there just by coming to the website or looking at your social, and that's really the key is to just be authentic, be yourself, and it will come through, and you'll connect with people like you in that way.
Mhm. How would you define what a brand voice is? I feel like we've like danced around it. To me, it's like the personality of your brand. Is that how
Mhm.
what you would call it?
Yeah, that's what I would say because you're looking at social or say marketing material or the website, whatever it is, whatever marketing material you have, it's you want to connect with the people reading it, right? And
Mhm.
so if they feel like they're just talking to you, that's what it is. That's
Yeah.
your personality. And because most people don't talk like rigid and just be yourself and it's you're talking to somebody, so make it appear that way.
Exactly. I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but what was the thing that made you want to change from your own at your own company with Thrive Pop? Was it just the fact that you were just getting tired of writing in that style, or are you just I want to change or
Yeah.
you saw another company like with a more fun kind of style? Oh, I like how they embody themselves.
Yeah. I think I went to this conference and then there was all these other marketing agencies. So I was like checking out their websites and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, like they're being real. Like they're not being all fancy, like you don't understand who they are. Like
Mhm.
we need to be that way. Like why do you get things
Yeah.
stuck in your head and this is how it has to be if I want to be a professional company. And then
Mhm.
it's like, no, you don't need you just need to be real because people don't like it when they get on a call with, say, a salesperson and they're fake.
Yeah.
They just want to be like, "Okay, like, I get you. You understand me. You listen to me," those types
Mm.
of things. And so that's how we needed our website to be and all of our marketing that we're doing is just very authentic. Like, even, like, the videos, they don't have to be, like, this big production. You could just do it on your phone, and there's so many,
Yeah.
like, tools that we have now for marketing to, like, still make it look, like, really nice, but it doesn't have to be you don't have to hire a video company to come in, record, like, all of these things. It just doesn't need to be done that way anymore,
Mm.
luckily,
Yeah.
thank God, 'cause that's really um, but, then when you're not, like, feeling real like that, you're, like,
Mhm.
on stage, you're like, "Oh, crap. I
Well,
messed that up.
yeah.
I shouldn't have said that." It's like, just
It's
say
really
what you
hard.
wanna say. It's not like you're not an actor, like, rehearsing lines. You're just, like, talking like we are, and even this podcast kinda stressed me out a little bit. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know," but it's just us talking,
Yes,
so
it's just talking.
it's
I
not a big
mean,
deal, really.
it goes back to 2 of the things you said. It goes back to what the myth was like, you were inspired by these other brands, and you were like, "Okay, yes, it's time for us to make a change, like, I wanna be myself. I wanna feel like when I'm talking about my company, I can be myself, and people can understand who I am," and that was the way that you were able to bring in that inspiration, so I think that's really good.
Mhm. Yeah.
But now that you have told us what a brand voice is, how would you to me, I think it starts with understanding your company in itself, like starting with the mission statement and your core values. Like those things are going to dictate like how you figure out what your personality really is. It helps
Mhm.
you to figure out because sometimes your company might be more professional and it needs to be more polished or it needs to have more of that exclusivity type of a feel. Like maybe that is what your brand is. And that can be embodied through like your mission and your core values and all those things. So if you are trying to figure out what your brand voice is or who it is that you want to be talking to, start with your mission statement. Look at your core values. What are those things that you are wanting to live out in your company day in and day out? And that'll help you figure out your personality. The other
Mhm.
thing that is hugely important when you're talking about brand voice is your target audience. You have to know who you're talking to. Because, like Michelle said, the people that we want to attract are the people who, they want to have fun or they want to have that same, I guess, not necessarily lifestyle, but like the same kind of down to earth nature. We want to be able to talk to our clients in that way so that we can meet them where they're at. So look at your target audience and see who is it? Who am I talking to? That will also help you define the tone, the style, the language, the adjectives that you use in order to create that overall brand voice.
Yeah, and I think I had done this exercise of what is your ideal client? And we took a look at all of our clients. And at
Mhm.
that time, we had a lot of manufacturing companies where maybe we were working with an engineer or lawyers, and lawyers are very uppity. And um, hopefully, there's no lawyers out there listening. Sorry. But they are like very sterile.
Yeah.
It's hard to get their personality. And I remember, Brittany and I went to a discovery meeting. It was like pulling
Pulling teeth.
teeth, trying to
Yeah.
get these people to tell us something, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that was terrible." And we're like, "Let's just not deal with clients like that because we have a choice. We can pick the clients
Mhm.
that we want to work with." And so we're like, "Okay, who are our favorite clients? Okay, let's get more of them because we like them and they're nice and they're this way or that way." And then gradually, and you've seen it, we've weaned off all
Mhm.
those clients that we don't want to deal with. We're like, "Oh, okay, good, they're canceling." Just because they really weren't the right fit. They didn't have the same
Right.
goals. They weren't passionate about marketing. And it
Mhm.
was like we were a pain to them because they're like, I don't have time to do this and or I
Mhm.
don't know, just it's not that important. Where we're like, what? It's so important. We have to do this. And so we really want to work with people that are passionate about marketing. And in a lot of our verbiage, we'll say, you must be passionate about marketing. You
Yeah.
must be ready to market. And because we're going to push the boundaries for you and really get aggressive with what we're doing for you.
Yeah. And the like us using that kind of verbiage, it helps us like pre-weed out people who won't be a good fit. And if you are working with clients who aren't a good fit, it's never fun. It's not something that you want to do. Sometimes you will have those clients, especially if you're just starting out, that you just have to because you gotta make money. You have to have a job. But the longer that you do it, you can figure out, oh, like these are the clients. You'll end up finding the favorites. And Michelle said, look at your clients and say, I really like working with this one. I don't like working with this people as much. And what are those pros and cons to that? What are the reasons why? Is it because you get to be more creative with the client that you like more? You're able to get your more of your ideas through, or maybe it's actually just the product or whatever it is that they're selling. Maybe you line with those products, and that can even help you figure out what your niche is. I won't
Yeah.
say niche. I know we said that last time.
I say niche. You say niche. I don't
I know.
know. It's a big debate amongst
I
many.
know.
It's kinda like GIF and GIF. It's
Oh,
like,
yes, that
uh,
was a hot topic.
I
I still say GIF.
still say GIF. So
See, we're not on the same
I
page, Michelle.
try
What's
to
going
say GIF
on?
around you all because I know that's what you say, but naturally it just comes out as GIF because that's what I
Mm,
learned in school 30 years
man.
ago. Things have changed.
Shoot, things have changed in just the last 5 years. I'm like, "Oh gosh, we got these new young people in our office, and they're like, oh, do you guys remember this from the 1900s?" I'm like, "What? Get out of here."
I know. I wasn't born yet in 1990. I'm like,
I'm like,
"What?
I
Oh my
know.
god."
When they say that they were born in, like, 2000, I'm like, "Okay, I've gotta go. I've got to go."
Oh,
Figuring out those adjectives and words that you identify with your brand can help you guide you. And also figuring out like don'ts. You can write a sentence and you can figure out or have a question and say, oh, we would respond this way, we wouldn't respond in this tone. So that can help you figure out stylistically who your voice is and your personality. You could also even come up with a name for your personality on and you could just be like, "Oh, Sally wouldn't say it this way. We should come up with a name for ours." To me, it's just Michelle's voice in my mind. Like every time I get ready to do something, I'm like, "Michelle would not like this. We need to change this a little bit."
and that's, like, something that, like, as a business owner, it's you gotta train your team to think like you, and
Mhm.
there's a few people that understand, like, "Oh, yeah, that's what Michelle would wanna say," or that's how Michelle would respond," or we're just so in sync now that, like, I say this, "Oh, that I was gonna say that," or you're like, "You're in tune to me now, and you and Brittany got me down." Usually
Yeah,
it's, "I'm gonna say this," or you say that, and I'm like, "I was gonna say that."
I know. Just that happened just a second ago with the current clients. I was like, she's stealing my agenda. We've said this many times on the pod. You just have to be consistent with your voice throughout your platforms. You do have to change it up a bit based on the platform. You don't want to be quite as, I won't say lax, but maybe as down to earth on LinkedIn than you as you would say Instagram or TikTok or something like that. You have to understand the audiences who are on those platforms and also the just like the nature of where you're at. Like you just have to understand those things. A lot of times I think people try to just do everything the same everywhere, and it sometimes it doesn't work. And you can see where certain platforms your content might be performing really well at, and on other platforms it might not. And that should help you to understand maybe you need to make a change, maybe you need to figure out a different style or just a different approach altogether.
Mhm. I think it's important too, you've already talked about this, who is your target audience, but the target audience can be different in each of those different platforms. So say
Mhm.
for LinkedIn, you're talking to B2B people. So you want, maybe it is a marketing person in that is doing B2B. So then what's important to them is not going to be what's important to a B2C customer, or where you can talk on social to that person. So maybe what's important to them is not going to be the same thing that maybe is important to a B2B client. So you got to
Mhm.
figure that out and figure out your persona types and what do they want to know about or hear about.
Yeah. There's actually 2 places where you can go to make some personas really easily. On HubSpot, they have a tool, and we will link that, and then also, I think SEMrush has a tool as well where you can make personas. And I'll get into another little freebie that we have for you at the end of the episode, so you gotta stay tuned for that. But before we do that, I thought it would be fun to talk through some of the bigger brands' personalities and how they're using their brand voice to for their advantage.
Okay.
So let's start off with Duolingo. They have been crazy on the socials and everything. I don't know if you've seen it, Michelle. I'd say
No,
Duolingo
no.
and so Duolingo is it's basically an app where you use it to learn a language, and you really wouldn't think that this type of app would have such a sense of humor, but they are hilarious, and they definitely have been identifying, I'd say, with the Gen Z crowd. But so there's Duolingo, and then another one that comes to mind that has like that funny and witty personality online is Scrub Daddy.
I was gonna say Scrub Daddy because I saw some comments of, did somebody hack their account or is this
Yeah,
really Scrub Daddy? Is their marketing talk,
they're
and
kind of
so there's,
unhinged a little bit.
you guys showed me that because you brought that to my attention. You're like, "No, they're funny. Oh, look at this." So I went and checked them out. I'm like, "Oh, yeah." You think that you have to be like a certain
Mhm,
way, but you don't, because they are connecting with their audience, right? And
mhm.
that's how they've grown to be what they are. And it's just, okay, it's a sponge. Like, how do you make that fun, right?
Exactly.
That's
I didn't know anything about Scrub Daddy. I'm sure they've been out for forever, but I have a Scrub Daddy now because they've influenced me and they're funny. And I'm like, look at all these cool different things that they have. They're doing their job, they're doing it well.
right. And they didn't just copy what the other grub things are,
Right.
because what can they say about that? Oh, we get stuff clean. It's okay. And they have their unique voice, right?
Hmm. And it's definitely singing. So if you haven't, check out Scrub Daddy and Duolingo and look at what they've been doing. They actually did a collaboration together and it was pretty cool. So we have a blog that has all of these personality types that I'm going to talk about today in it, so you guys can look at some of the pictures and screenshots that we've grabbed. But yeah, they've been having a fun time on socials for sure. The next I'd like to talk about is like more of the sports category, like Nike and Adidas. They always are trying to empower and spew confidence to their audiences. They've had some really amazing campaigns. There's a few that come to mind for me. There was one with Serena Williams called, I think it was called like Dream Crazier. And basically the whole thing and premise was like, don't let the societal norms tell you cannot do as a woman. If they say that you can't, dream crazier and you can do it. And that is, it's a idea. It doesn't necessarily even have anything to do with Nike. Yes, she is wearing all the Nike clothes and she's wearing the shoes and all that stuff, but they are trying to build confidence and empower people with their company. So I guess if you have a business type that could do something like that, in a sense, Duolingo could do that same type of a thing. They could be empowering people to learn these different languages and look where this can take you. They are going for more of a funnier route, but they could still go in that same lane. So just think
Mhm,
about how you could change your personality or use a different personality that might not necessarily gravitate towards initially.
mhm. You know what that reminds me of? I don't know if you've watched this movie, but it's What Women Want. I think it was Mel Gibson was in that one, I think.
Oh, yes, I do remember that.
And it was like the girl worked at this advertising agency,
Mhm.
and he could I don't know what how this happened. It's been a
He could
while
hear
since
what they were thinking, right?
he could hear everything that she was thinking, and he'd be like, "Hey, you wanna go out?" "Hell no, I'm not going out." Just like when they were coming up with this campaign for
Mhm,
tennis shoes, it was about what is different for women than men. And as a woman, if you're going out for a run, you're just thinking about, oh crap, I got to do this, and I got to do that, and I got to do this. Where I
mhm,
don't know if guys really have all of those voices in their head going on. But yeah. And so then they came up with this really cool like campaign, like Just Do It or something, where it was like, you can do all of these things as a
mhm.
woman, blah, blah, blah. So that was just reminded
Yeah,
me of.
that's a perfect scenario. If you haven't watched that movie, watch that movie because that's all about changing your brain voice, really.
I love that movie. I'm like, "Ooh, if everybody could hear what was inside my head."
Oh, I know. Please, no, we don't need that. Another one that stands out, I'd say, is like a Dove and Neutrogena. They really like to go off of like authentic and like trustworthy. They really, again, in the same way that Nike goes off of like empowering people, they're talking about like body positivity and everybody has skin and everybody is the same and in that way. Still empowering, but they're doing it in different ways, but still having I have that human aspect to it.
Right, and I like that it used to be they would all these companies would only use, like, size 0 models. They're using, like, normal size
Yeah.
people, that this is, like, a real person. They're beautiful. They don't have to be a size 0. They can be a size 12 or 14 or 20 or whatever, and they're still beautiful, so let's just showcase that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Me too. We need more brands like Dove and Neutrogena. And I will say, if you've been paying attention to what's been going on, Victoria's Secret has gone through a huge change. They were under a lot of fire with just the way that they were portrayed, just like how Michelle was saying with their size 0 models and just how, especially in the early 2000s, how it was just like this, they thrived on that exclusivity, I'd say, of trying to fit your body into these things that weren't your body probably may not be able to look like or
Mhm.
whatever have you. And so they were under a lot of fire for that. I think there was another company like Hollister and Abercrombie, they've all gone through these changes to really be more inclusive and show more diverse people. I do think that there's been a lot of change in the last recent years that I have really loved that these companies are doing.
I've noticed too some movies that have come out
Mm,
recently
mhm,
that, like, the main actress is not, like, perfect.
mm,
Like, she may be, like, a little chubby or something like that, but still a good actress. And
Hmm.
I like that because we can't all starve ourselves and be a size 0. That's
I need
it's
a
just I
pizza.
don't know how they can do that. It's possible. Unless you just are born that way, but most of us aren't.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Those are just a few of the personalities. Obviously, there's tons more, but if you want, you can check out our blog. So go to thrivepop.com/blog and you can read our blog all about brand voices. And you can even take a BuzzFeed quiz that we made to try to figure out what your personality type is. And maybe it will help you make a change. We also have, this is the freebie that I was talking to you guys about. We have a full template that will guide you through helping you change your brand voice, talking about target audience, helping you really dive into what are those adjectives that will help you define what your new brand voice should be. So you can check that out as well. We just always have the freebies for you guys. We want to help. And this is a really good one. That's a really good tool that I'm excited about. So just
Mhm.
remember, you got to be authentic. Don't try to be someone else. You got to be you. I think that will always sing. That'll help you find your voice.
And just so everybody knows too, I just had our developer add a website grader on our website too under the resources. And then if you go to, I think it's audits, it's on the audit page. You can plug in your website and then it will give you a grade too. So I know that's not the same topic, but a
No,
new
it's all
tool.
all it's another tool. It's another freebie. Who doesn't want these free tools? So
Yeah.
grab them up, guys. We got them for you.
Yes.
Thanks for listening with us today. Stay tuned for the latest in web marketing and design from ThrivePop. Want to be a pop star? Head over to thrivepop.com/podcast to join our mailing list for episode notifications, sneak peeks, listener feedback, and more.